guys, how's it going? My name is j-statik, and you're listening to Static Sessions. Today we're going to be talking about 808s again, but we're talking about how to add width to those 808s in bass. So this is a common thing. A lot of people are asking me when they're making hip-hop influenced tracks in the South Asian market, or if it's hip-hop on its own with, Prophecy, Fateh, and any of these guys. A lot of these guys want that thick, wide 808 sound. So to achieve that, I'm going to say it's a little bit more of a new thing that's come in, because generally when it comes to engineering, you want your bass flat in the center, pounding, because most systems, regardless of where you go to, most of the time, unless you're a multi-million-dollar artist, you're playing in mono type venues. So when you start adding stereo width to your bass, it's not really doing anything when it comes to playing it in those areas, whether it's a club or most of the time it's a wedding party for South Asian songs. But you're not going to hear that stereo width. You might hear a little bit of it, but you're not going to hear what you hear when you're listening to it in your car or somewhere else. That being said, I'm going to talk about 2 or 3 options, and I'm going to show you one option that I think is the best way to do it. So one of the ways to do this is, it usually depends on the key of the song or key of the bass. When you got your higher end basses, like higher frequency basses, I'm talking like F sharp and above up until like B, you can play around with those more so, because you got the feeling of the bass and bass, or 808s. 808s and bass are mainly meant to feel. So when it comes to higher keyed basses, you can manipulate them easier because you got higher frequencies to play with, and you can widen those out, make them sound a little bit wider, but still have the depth and the mono feel of the lower end. When it comes to the lower end keys, such as like C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and E, you're looking at messing with low end frequencies, and trying to turn those stereo can be kind of difficult. So a way to play with that is, if you have something in C sharp, duplicate the layer, transpose that 12 keys higher, so an octave higher, and start messing with that in the mid-range area, and try to see if you can manipulate that mid-range to make it a little bit wider while taking an EQ and kind of cutting off the lows. Again, this to me, even while I'm saying it, sounds way too hard to do, and way too much time to kind of make it happen. So if you're looking for thickness in bass, width in bass, what I'm going to say is work on it this way. So if you look over to here, it's the same 808 kick setup I had before, and I left the effects on to give it that cleanliness, just to play it again. If you didn't actually watch the last video, first off, go watch that last video, because this thumps. But if not, you're going to listen to this, you'll hear what I'm talking about, and then we're going to start adding width to the low end. So that right now lives pretty much in the center. What I love is, I love the Brainworks plugins. I think they're amazing. I think they work really well. As soon as I drop that on, honestly, almost right away, you'll hear a difference. Right away, you hear a difference. It spreads apart, becomes more stereo, if you want to call it that. Kind of is stereo. And if you sum into mono, you'll still hear it pound as if it was in the center. And that's kind of cool, because usually when you try spreading something too stereo, or it gets that kind of stereo width, you completely lose it in the center when it becomes mono. So this still keeps its integrity, which I think is amazing. So I'm going to play with some of the knobs that I would play with to try to give it some more width. If you have a system at home, or if you have a studio set up at home, definitely listen to it, because that's where you're going to hear the low end, and see what you think. So that right there, I'm going to play it for that 4 bars. You're going to hear that width, and then I'm going to take it away, and you're going to hear it be mono again. So let's listen to this. Actually, we'll start with the mono. And now stereo. It sounds huge. It sounds like it's going past the speakers, and it just sounds massive. To me, if you're looking for stereo width in your 808s that still keeps its integrity, definitely take a look at Brainworks Stereo Maker. It's a great plugin. It's awesome to use if you're doing that 808 type of work. So I hope you guys learned something from that. This is a little quick video on how to add width to your 808s. If you did, please comment. Otherwise, like, subscribe, press that little button, that little bell for further notifications. And until then, see you guys soon.